Let's check in with the doc and look at things with a wider lens. Pastor Richards on OMG.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Pastor. Good morning.
Good morning to all.
Have you recovered from your beaten pastor that everybody's trying to lay on you?
As, it comes with the territory.
Indeed it does. Indeed it does.
It comes with it. Actually, also, Stephen, too. These things are learning experiences, and so you learn things as you go. You listen to people. I always say listen to people and learn. Even before my program yesterday, my very first set of comments was, boy, you got to listen. And even when people are criticizing you, you need to listen, you need to learn. Sometimes when you push back or you become too defensive, you miss the point that they're trying to teach you.
Yeah. But Pastor, I've always saying, when it's tough sometimes being, particularly if you're on a phone line too, calling in. It's real tough sometimes to understand the way your words are coming across sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, even, in fact, let me go ahead because I tried calling Dr. Murray there yesterday, but because I didn't see this coming, but as it first of all, let me apologize to the gentleman. All right, truly, deeply apologize to the gentleman. And I mean it. There was no slight that was intended to his character. Whether it was real or perceived in what I said, or even there was nothing intended. But if nonetheless, it doesn't matter that if it came across that way and it affected him and those who think highly of him, then I must apologize because that's just that's not me too. That's just not me.
What specifically are you apologizing for, though, Pastor?
I am apologizing for the usage, and I will qualify it for the usage of the term outsider being, because I was not meant to cast him. And I went and I listened to the thing over and over, and I mean, it is there to me. I listen it again, but I'm hearing it. I know what I said, but you know what? I apologize. In fact, to the extent being that I didn't even, as I listened and I saw, I didn't intend something, but it is being cast in a particular way. Then, normally I put my commentaries on Facebook, and I did not even put my commentary on Facebook in the usual fashion yesterday because I don't want to put out something out there that people think is disparaging to somebody's character. I would not do that. And from the time I started to see comments coming in that I tried to besmirch his character, I said, I'm not putting this on Facebook. That's just not me. In places where, in chats where, it was being framed that I was calling him an outsider, I actually thought that it was instructive to put the entire commentary so that, because I know what happens sometimes. People don't hear the commentary, but they hear Dr. Richards called Dr. Murray outsider, and then the comments are going to begin to flow. So to give context, I put the entire thing there so that people who were hearing the accusation that I called Dr. Murray an outsider could actually hear the entire context if they chose to, listen to the thing. So, but I look, things out there, it has already been said, again, people may not have heard my commentary because I didn't put it out, but they're hearing that I called Dr. Murray an outsider. The truth and the fact is, the misunderstanding is that my point was lost in the matter. Dr. Murray himself, as I listened to the program, because this is the absolute honest truth, I had absolutely no idea that Dr. Murray was born outside of St. Vincent. I've always seen him as a Vincentian.
So when you refer to being an outsider, what exactly were you speaking about then?
That's very good. That's the context. I was actually using the frame that he cast himself in. And you go back, the people need context. This is the context, sir. I was not aware, and I mean, that is just truth. I was not aware. So when I used the term, actually it was a quotation, a direct quotation of his term. If you go back to the earlier part of the program, in fact, he said that people are seeing him as an outsider. My exact word when I introduced the term, this is exactly what I said verbatim. I said, you have a position that you were not born here. Let me say that again, because that qualifies. Stephen, this is very instructive. People need to listen to the whole thing. My first reference, I'm setting the context for how I'm going to use the term. I said, you have a position that you were not born here. And I know why I was saying that, because he himself set the antecedent. He himself said that people view him that way. I later said, you are seen, which is, again, using what he said, you are seen by some as an outsider. Now, I am saying this as a counselor to make a point. And it is the point is this: if you already have the notion, like I said, you have a position that you're an outsider. If you already have a notion that people are saying that you are an outsider, right? I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. Or in fact, I would disagree and chide that kind of thing too. But I am saying from a wisdom point of view, if you know that is how a few people view you, it will only, this is just good counseling, it will only exacerbate things, the division, if you call them idiots. It's just counseling, If you know people think this of you, and you go call them idiots, it is not going to help the healing process. So,
I'm sorry, I think you have a memory problem, because yesterday you kept saying, and I kept trying to stop you, that you really have a problem with persons who are not Vincentians, referring to Vincentians as idiots. You said that several times. I kept trying to interrupt you, and you kept insisting and pushing it. So when you say that you apologize, but now you're saying, well, I apologize, however, that's not a genuine apology in my mind.
Let me see how I say this to you. Just for the moment, can you just reflect what I said? Honestly, I said whether you are Vincentian or not. Let me go back to something I said elsewhere, because I am consistent. It doesn't matter whether you are Vincentian or not Vincentian. And I thought maybe it's my problem. Maybe I did not make myself clear. I have no tolerance for this. I actually, in one of my earlier commentaries, said that we need to recognize and value all of our citizens. I said that we don't disparage. In fact, had I put out my stuff yesterday, the title that I had already put in it was, when we pull down others, we are pulling down ourselves.
But I thought that you were doing that to Dr. Murray.
Hold on. No, well, I was not. You thought I was. So, again, maybe it's...
And so do many other people.
Yeah. I was only using... but I apologize for the use of the term. I thought I set the context well. I thought that he said that he... I'm not going to win here, by the way, I realize that, okay? So I just want to apologize, okay? I'm not going to win. I know it.
Right.
I know it. I'm not going to win. I apologize. All right? I apologize. I just don't think it is wise. No one should be calling and disparaging anyone, whether you are outsider, insider, next-sider. It does not matter. Being the point, the greater point is we all lose when we pull down one another. Oh gosh, being we not getting this.
But do you remember me saying to you, Dr. Richards, that the man is emotion, he has lost his lands. Won't you get emotional, and won't you get passionate too? You remember me saying that to you?
Do you remember me saying to you that I make allowance for him being passionate? Do you remember me saying that to you? Do you remember me saying that his passion is understandable? Do you remember me saying that to you?
But then you further qualify your statement.
Do you remember that I said all of that to you, sir? Do you remember? It's no point that you lie and say I didn't make allowance for that.
No, Pastor, hold on here, Pastor. Hold on.
Do you remember? Hold up. Do you remember me saying, let's just answer this. Do you remember me saying that I make allowance for his passion, yes or no? Yes or no?
You said that,
yes,
but then you further went on in your further statement to say something completely opposite to that.
No.
Yes, you did. Dr. Richards, why are people upset? Why are the large majority of people who heard your commentary yesterday up in arms? Why?
Being if I had not heard my commentary, and I heard that Dr. Richards referred to Dr. Murray as an outsider, I would like, that's crazy.
Okay, so everybody else heard what they heard was wrong, and you were correct.
Can I just interject? Because we have a WhatsApp message I'd like to read, because I think we're only getting your opinions, okay? So let me just read what someone who I believe was listening based on their comments. This person says, Pastor, your sentiments expressed yesterday seemed to suggest that you had absolutely no remorse for the issue at hand about lands being taken away in the fashion that it is, and the high-handed approach by the government, and rather your only takeaway was him calling Vincentian silly, and the fact that we as a nation not disgusted about the way the government operates, whether we are ULP or NDP, that we are silly. We are a silly country because if this can happen to them, it can happen to any one of us, and that is not right.
And let me answer that if I did not address that second part, or if I spent my entire program.
Doc, let's address the entire thing, not just the second part.
No, but just
because I felt as if you were holding on to that single part and not the principle of what happened, the fact that the man lands were taken away, and then you came back and said, but Bing, I want to hear both sides. Yeah. Because as if you, although, and I said, Pastor, what more side do you want to hear? The lands were gazetted. Isn't that enough?
And I said to you, by the way, again, our convenient recollections, the nation probably doesn't know, but I was only being...
Oh, the nation heard. It's not about. No, it's not just me. It's not me saying something against in a private conversation.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the tail wagging the dog and the commentary. Okay, I have to respond to all of the questions you ask me. All right, and the questioning, unless I have to be rude and switch, which I try not to be. I was just responding. You kept pushing a point, and I kept trying to clarify, and you kept pushing. And I actually said you'd show up the time. I'm not going to win. I am not going to win. You have the mic. The mic is your weapon.
But Pastor, you have the mic too. You have the mic as well.
Well, when I put down my phone, I don't have the mic. Also, let me go ahead and say this too. My major issue yesterday, in what I said, trying to address the not the issue at hand, but in address what Dr. Murray said, goes to a greater fabric because of something I've said about trying to bring us along as a citizenry and a country. There are three things in a commentary I did. It may have been 3 years ago, but I did a commentary 3 years ago on what is responsible, civic responsibility, I think it was the commentary. And three of the things I said that we have to do, and I keep harping on, but I'm not sure that we get in there, Stephen. This whole idea of we really need to address our problems and our issues in an informed manner, in such a way that when we are through addressing it, we would have built our country rather than divided our country. Now, that is a core value of mine. People understand that. So when I heard the reference to idiot and idiotic, I thought that was more of a passionate statement rather than how you would want to speak of Vincentian. And again, given the context, not my term outsider, please, I'm trying to get that clear, but I'm not going to win that one. But given this sense, and I actually said word for word, you have a position, let me say it again, you have a position that you were not born here. People telling you that, okay? You already know that. You don't come and call people idiots. Secondly, being from the point of view, by the way, idiot means the prevailing usage of the term idiot. In terms of its words only have meaning in their context, how people understand them. And the prevailing usage of the term idiot, an idiot is a stupid person. I'd be careful to call Vincentian that. An idiot is a person of low intelligence. Being now, considering myself, right, I have an earned doctorate, spent years and much hardship to get there. Now, consider the fact that I have a doctorate. For me to go on to call, let us say, Dr. Richards called somebody idiot, that is real. Saying, well, look at you, you don't have a doctorate, you're a low intelligence person. So I am troubled by the use. Maybe it's just me. I am troubled by the use of the term idiot. And
Pastor?
idiot is, hold on, let me finish.
Sure, go ahead.
Three parts of the definition I want to bring out. An idiot is an utterly foolish or senseless person. I'm just talking about the common usage. To cast Vincentian as being utterly foolish or senseless. As a good Vincentian, I kind of, and then from a psychological usage, this is an archaic psychological usage, but it used to be before the DSM change that an idiot is a person of the lowest order of mental retardation. Let me say that again. A person who is an idiot, from a psychological perspective in the DSM of old, was the person of the lowest order of mental retardation. And so when I hear that, especially from, if you put a doctor to your name and you think of yourself as a doctor, but you think of some of our people of being of the lowest order of mental retardation.
Pastor, I don't think you're right there. I don't think you're right. I've been using the term idiot all morning, and I've said why I call people an idiot, right? And I think it has nothing to do with intelligence and education, and whether you're a medical doctor or a PhD doctor or whatever kind of doctor you are. You see, I fundamentally
you qualified. Even what you did, you qualified your usage.
No, okay? I didn't qualify it. I said most Vincentians, as far as I'm concerned, are idiots. I made that very clear.
And
I said what I meant by it. And I said what I meant by it. But you do not know what it is that Mr. Murray meant by the term idiot, because nobody asked him that question. What did he really mean when he talks about most Vincentians being idiots? Because most of us use words without thinking that they add different kinds of meaning to different kinds of words. And all of us are guilty of that, Pastor.
Exactly.
Every last one of us are guilty of that. Huh?
Thank you, Stephen.
Because we each pick up our own interpretation of what we feel.
Look at what I used the term outsider yesterday, and look what happened. People picked up, people went with it. Thank you very much, Stephen.
Yeah, but the other thing I wanted to say, Pastor, is, we have a habit in this country of classifying people as intelligent because they happen to be educated.
Yeah, boy.
My father never finished high school. I don't believe Silky the Silver ever finished high school. I don't know O.T. Mayers well enough to know where he came from and his background. I don't know Bigger Biggs well enough to know where these kinds of people came from.
Yeah.
But there's an awful lot of people in this country that I regard as highly intelligent. Highly intelligent.
Man,
and that's why I never confuse. To me, education is about opportunity. It is not just about intellect. Because I know a lot of highly educated morons, as I call them, and people get upset with me, right?
You use stronger terms than
right. But
I would say that people have paperwork, but don't necessarily, because I teach.
Yeah,
I teach, and sometimes I'm like, you have the paper, but I try not to be pejorative in my thing, because my aim is, again, to, when I address a problem, at the end of the day, it should build people rather than divide them. I mean, I don't have time. I know Bing is going to tell me that I'm out of time soon, but I just, again, to go back to some of my core values, and because people don't know me, right, Stephen? And these things matter to me. I have them written down, what I am trying to do. And how every now and again, I'm human, I will slip. And terms like what I did yesterday would be misunderstood. I don't mean to cast him as an outsider. I really did think that, in fact, I know I said it because I listened back to the thing 2 or 3 times, where I said, you have a position that you were not born here, and some see you as an outsider. And I said, given that it ain't wise to call us idiot, especially you have a doctorate and all of that, and knowing what I think idiot means, a person of the lowest order of mental retardation, I just thought that for someone who knows that people are calling him an outsider, it's just let me take Dr. Murray out of the equation. Like, if they begin selling passports and all of that, and somebody from, let us say, Europe or somebody come here, and they are naturalized, they get the passport citizenship, I would, in the same manner, be as equally upset if, because you have a degree, money to buy a passport, or clout or color of skin or whatever, and you come here and call us idiot. I will. even if it's like coming into a family, we adopt you, you adopt us as your homeland. You can't do that. I was just trying to say you can't do that. And I will wrap up here. The 3 guiding principles for my in that commentary, because I actually wrote it down, is on civil responsibility. The 3 guiding principles that I actually use in that. I said, number 1, you need to, as we become more civilly responsible, we need to address society's problems in an informed manner, such at the end of the day, we build rather than divide. As I listened, we should not really be destroying even the people who did not agree with us. And I heard what Stephen said about me. In the sense, when I came on this morning, he said, Pastor Boy, they really took a swing at you yesterday.
Pastor?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, right? Because, we can go on and on and on, right, to what's happening here. The real issue here, as I see it, which nobody seems to be willing to address head on, is what has happened to these people's land.
Boy.
And is it right that the land be acquired in such a way, the way it seems to have been acquired?
Very good.
And I think that's what really matters here, doesn't it?
That got lost yesterday, my friend.
It did, because I saw your thing, and we didn't really get it
got lost. I spent, people didn't get me, they felt like that, but they didn't even know what I was trying to get, because the Bible is about justice, especially for the oppressed and all of that.
Yes.
So I actually, immediately, I got off the program. I heard one side. I'm like, nah, let me I start gathering detail. I got a tape of the interview done by Eyewitness News. I gathered details. I started reaching out to the other side and gathering details. This is me. We have to address society's problems in this kind of informed manner. And secondly, we have to be able to negotiate. This was the second point I made. Give me 2 minutes, Bing. Be able to negotiate differences and expect a diversity of ideas, practices, even a diversity of agendas. It is unavoidable. So the diversity of these kinds of positions reflect our richness if we could negotiate them properly. But we can't alienate people and cuss them out and cuss out my daughter and all kind. It devolved into something that was messy. I was scared. I was scared just because I was misunderstood to hear how people described me, and then went on. I was scared. I'm like, and the last point. And the last point is that and I'm just going back to a core teaching that I have been teaching on this station over years. It is this, that we need to recognize and value the dignity of all of our citizens. And I did not mean to disrespect the gentleman yesterday. Clearly, if you go back to my words, I simply said, you have a position that you're not born here. You are seen as an outsider. Given that, you shouldn't be calling people idiots. We have to respect, no matter if they're not bright as us, no matter if they don't have degrees, no matter if they don't agree with us, we have to respect people when we speak of them. They might not have the income or the class or the beliefs or dress or mental state. They might not even have our mental state, but we need to respect them when we speak
Pastor,
of them.
I think people can understand and relate to people taking people's land, and whether that is justifiable or not is the real issue here, isn't it?
It is not justifiable to take people's land willy-nilly. We know that. We have to, again, look at this. Because at the end of the day, it could be that there is a real issue here. Don't get me wrong. At the end of the day.
But if there is a real issue, Pastor, right, wouldn't you think that the government, who have all the power in the world and can do whatever they want, apparently, you don't think that they should have made a better effort at communicating what this is all about?
That's what, if Stephen, hear me well, and you are really reasonably here. I I listened to the Eyewitness News thing, and if indeed and in fact all of this was done, absolutely at the exclusion of any thought, dialogue, contribution, input, etc., reasoning with the principal parties involved. You kidding me?
Yeah, that's my concern too, to be honest with you. I think it's a process. It's not. I don't have an issue with them acquiring land.
But you see, people preempted me, and they especially in some of them, because I recognize it, they preempted and they don't even know where I was going. And sometimes you have to be very careful that those who can very well be your advocates, you destroy them before they get to the point of advocating for you. You have to be very careful of that, all right?
My friend Bing is about to run us off the air. It was a pleasure chatting with you, my friend.
Good talking with you.
Take care, buddy. All right, bye-bye.
Let's check in with the doc and look at things with a wider lens. Pastor Richards on OMG.